Rings of Power Episode 7, the show where even the writers can't remember what happened in the previous episodes. We start just after everyone got hit by the volcano. Honestly, I can't believe that's the line I'm starting this review with, but here we go. Yes, this is a very careful volcano. One with intention, because it seems to set everything on fire, except for any of the people. Oh, and it makes you look like a Cheeto. No, you really look like a Cheeto. What Galadriel would look like after a pyroclastic flow. What she actually looks like. We saw the volcano burning houses, burning trees. The very air would be too hot to breathe. The ash would clog your lungs, but no, everything's fine, folks. Just turn your brain off, it'll be fine. Galadriel's a Cheeto master, there's no keeping her down. You can see that the volcanic cloud set lots of other things on fire behind her, but not any of the people. I was at least expecting you to say that the volcano was evil and therefore it was cold, but apparently no. Maybe Galadriel survived because she's an elf, and elves are made out of asbestos in this universe. Yeah, let's go with that. It's more of a reason than the writers are going to give us. Everything's on fire except all of the things we need not to be. It's not as if humans are walking fuel made of fat cells which are purely designed to store energy. Burns quite well. The volcano can even set horses on fire, just not any of the people. We can always get another horse for the script, so that doesn't need armor. A volcano is meant to have gone off next to him. Back in the day, I had this much dust in my house when I was playing MMOs. I can't even tell who died from the volcano and who died from the orcs. They just look like they're sleeping. How come this cloud had the force to rip apart buildings, but not any of the people that were standing in front of it? I may be repeating myself, but this is one of the most ridiculous things I've seen in television. How's that guy just wandering around? Who's he? Where was he and what special protection did he have to survive when people in the house didn't? These are the kind of things you have to explain in a situation like this. This isn't like a building falling down and people happen to get stuck in like air pockets where things just didn't fall on them. This was a massive cloud that swept through everything and made everything go on fire. Did some of them go underground in cellars or something? You could have come up with explanations for this. But Galadriel's wandering around the town. Halbrand! Aaron dear! She's just shouting people's names out all the time. And everyone was in the same place when the cloud hit, and then somehow they get separated. I'm not really sure how. Maybe they woke up at different times and wandered off in different directions, I guess. You would have thought the first people to wake up would then go around the town and get everyone who's alive together and then leave together. But that's not what they do because everyone in this show is evil, even the good guys. But don't worry, we found the guy who destroyed the entire area and is responsible for all of it, and for some reason, we're going to pretend that we care about him.
Are you hurt?
Because you deserve to be. Look around, dear fellow. All of this destruction is your fault. That's unfortunate. And why aren't you hurt? You got hit by a pyroclastic flow that was ripping apart buildings and setting everything on fire. Why aren't you hurt? Where were you standing and how thick is the plot armor that you've got to actually have not even been damaged slightly? Oh, well, I just made to look like a cheetah. Why is everything red, by the way? Volcanic ash would be grey or black. There would be no sun because that was the entire point of this thing. And if anyone says a fire's doing that, I hope in all the campfire scenes we get the same filter. Oh, it's red so you know that everything's burning.
Stay with me. Come.
What do you mean? Where are you going? There's literally people screaming. They're trapped under buildings. People need your help. And you're like, yeah, well, we're just gonna leave. Just us two. I've found one person I know. Better get out of here. No, why don't you stay and help people? You actually have the skills and abilities to greatly help people in the area. And you're just like, yeah, but I'm off, mate. You're on your own, sorry. Galadriel's evil. Literally people screaming in the background and Galadriel's like, sorry mate, I found this one guy, we're going now, good luck. I suppose they were like, well, we can't have everyone escape, so let's just get an extra and say that he was the only one that the pyroclastic flow could actually have an impact on. Everyone else, it just kind of swept over him like a light breeze. All I wanted was an explanation. Even if it was awful, I would have taken the piss, but you would have explained it. This is worse. But here we are with the moral people, the ones who actually woke up in the village, saw people were struggling, and stayed to help them. Unlike Galadriel. Oh no, help me, my friend's stuck under this building, but I'm just a weak, pathetic man. Oh, if only I can't get him out, I don't know what to do. Help me, somebody help me. Never fear, Muriel's here. The other three people just walked off, they can't be bothered to help. I don't know if you're sensing a trend of people just walking past others suffering without a care in the world. Don't worry though, this is meant to be an optimistic, hopeful show. Certainly not one where everyone is evil. But it's like, oh no, Muriel, he's stuck under the building and I'm just weak and pathetic. Please save me. So along comes Muriel, you know, Captain Strongarm. Oh, she must have got some of that Hulk power because the moment Muriel comes along to help. Oh, now we could just lift the entire house and pull him free. Good job Muriel's here, otherwise we never would have had the strength required. And of course, the cowardly fighter from the last episode is dead. Is there anything really much lost? There's a load of people going, oh, I'm really sad, but he never did anything. He was barely on screen, and I don't know why I should care about his character. If you're trying to make us think that now anyone can die because we've killed one of our main characters, no. You've not made me care about any of these people because none of these people do anything that would make me. In fact, the only actions which have ever made me decide anything about a character are when they do evil ones. Whereas if you want to know this guy's entire story, it was got fired because he tried to save a rope and then went into battle and did crap. That's not a character anyone's going to care about. But he's like, oh no, he's dead and nobody cares.
Soldier, he's gone.
That's it, Muriel. I'm the true leader here. The actual soldiers, they don't know how to handle this kind of stuff, but I will pull them back to the brink and lead. We have more important things to do than worry about the dead, like finding Galadriel. She'll definitely be around here somewhere, helping the people after the disaster that she's largely responsible for. She'll still be around here to help. She won't have just pissed off somewhere. But as we walk through the town where everything has been set on fire by the pyroclastic flow, except people, we move on to a house where everything is on fire except the people. This is one of those rare self-aware fires. I just want to survive, but not on any people because that'd be mean. Never had to give fire a voice before. So they go into the house to save people. And they're there, literally just lifting beams of houses up. Hey, that dude's been working out if he could do that, that's all I'm saying. So Muriel, the queen, is going into burning buildings for some reason that I don't think anyone would let her, but here we are. If you're any of her soldiers, you would not let her put herself into this kind of danger. It would be crazy. And we see the roof collapsing and Isildur's like, oh no, I thought I could hold up this entire housing roof, and I've just realized that I can't. I don't know what the plan was during this, I really don't. So this soldier is outside the house ushering the kids through because he's safe. This is where Muriel should be. And Muriel decides to go back into the burning building while her soldier stays outside in safety. No, the Queen's Guard isn't going to let her do this. And if a queen tried, they would put her over a shoulder and force carry her out of there for her own good. But for some reason, none of her soldiers care if she survives. So she goes back in. The roof is about to collapse on her, and for some reason, Isildur is still standing there going, no, it's fine, I can definitely hold all this up. But then the roof collapses on Isildur and the queen like fires backwards. I have no idea what happens here. I think Isildur was meant to have like pushed with his beam and she's like, ah, as if, you know, almost as if she got pulled on a rope from behind by three big burly dudes in a Hollywood set. It's almost as if that happened before she flew back, just from a guy going, with like a 60-kilogram beam. We've already established physics doesn't exist in Rings of Power, so, you know, this is what happens. And then fire sweeps through the building, and I know what you're thinking, Isildur's dead. Oh no, they've killed a main character! Except they can't, because he comes back later. Not in this episode, just we need him for later in the story. It makes no odds if you put him in danger, because we know he has to survive. And so when the entire building collapses on top of him, yeah, he'll be fine though, won't he? He literally couldn't be if that had actually happened to him. He would 100% be dead, but we know he'll be fine in this. That's how it works. Remember, this is that self-aware fire that just damages buildings, but not humans for some reason. And she's like, oh no, my ass, my ass. This show could turn her into Daredevil, and I would not be surprised in the least. And bizarrely, no one blames him, the Queen's Guard, for standing outside the building while he let her go inside a burning building. Largely because under the rules, a man can't tell a woman what to do, and that would be a really bad light. So instead, we had to let the Queen put herself in danger while the guard was too scared to go in. Don't pretend you can handcuff yourself with a load of ideological rules and also write a good story, because it's literally impossible. Situations like this occur, they don't make any sense, and you have no other recourse but to let them happen because your own forced, limited ideas. Which is why your ideas are always crap. Don't worry though, we're back to the evil Harfoots, and if you thought they were evil before, you've seen nothing yet. Because they're not just evil this week, they're evil with Stockholm Syndrome.
Big ones. I wish that they were mine.
Yeah, there's more singing. But they finally finish their migration and they're catching up to the rest of the group who have found the orchard, except it seems to have suffered a bit. Now, the Harfoots treat this as if it's a massive issue. Oh no, all the trees are burnt. How are we ever going to survive without any fruit? But if you look on the right of the screen, you can clearly see that the rest of the forest is entirely untouched. It is literally just a few trees over on the left which are damaged. And they're like, oh, but we can only get them from these 5. Also, let's be honest, does anyone care if the Harfoots starve at this point? I mean, they are such evil characters. Does anyone mind? At this point, it's got to be karma, right? Look, you can even see it. Oh no, this is such a problem. Everything's been burned, except for the fact it's one strip over on the left and all of the trees on the right side are fine. How will we ever survive? But like, oh no, we're in trouble. I wanted my apples from this particular tree, not the rest.
What happened?
My great-grand used to speak of mountains to the south that could spit fire rock.
And that fire rock does destroy trees, but not people, so at least you're safe.
He said they go to sleep, sometimes for hundreds of years.
But he's like, sometimes the big fire mountains go to sleep until they come back. Normally due to a new evil. So I'm like, is this a repeating thing? Like, it's a standard tactic that repeats all the time when a new evil lord rises up, he just dumps a load of water into a volcano. Everyone forgets until the next time it happens. It's like Wheel of Time. You're just an infinite loop. And I know people are going to be like, no, that's not what Tolkien wrote. I know. Is it what happens in Rings of Power, though? Because let's face it, this is an entirely different universe. Is there literally anything that ties the two together at this point? Because it gets worse later in the episode.
Only to wake again when a new evil is rising.
He means Galadriel. But then they cut to the big bloke and I'm like, oh yeah, they probably think it's him, the evil guy, because the last time we saw the hobbits, they were like, that big guy over there is evil, we need to leave him behind and kill everyone that he knows. So surely they still think that, right? Because nothing's changed in the meantime. But as the big dude starts messing with a tree up on the hill,
Your friend up there, the big fella.
I'm like, yeah, he's gonna say he caused this, isn't it? It's him. This is evil, and he's cursed us before he even arrived here. That's what they did last time, and they're definitely gonna stick with that story, right? Because they remember what happened in the previous episode.
You don't suppose.
Suppose what?
You don't suppose he caused it, do you? This is what I was expecting when I watched it.
Maybe he could fix it.
Yes.
What? What do you mean, maybe he can fix it? You thought he was causing it last week. I don't know why she's like, yes, you wanted to murder him last week. Why now are you so enthusiastic that he can help? Yes, he did save you from a wolf. That made you swap from random murderer to, oh, I love this guy, maybe he can just save us in the future of the universe, did it? Because that doesn't really seem like a well set up character arc to me. That's just, oh, this happened, then this happened. And they changed their mind. Why? I don't know.
Go on, Nori.
What do you mean, go on, Nori? You thought he was evil 2 seconds ago.
He's done so much for us.
But they're like, no, he's done so much for us already. We can't ask him to do even more magic. Do you think he's used his magic up or something? Why wouldn't you ask him? Is it because he was healing his hand and she's like, oh no, but he might be evil now because I touched him and interfered in the magic and thought it hurt me even though it didn't. I hate all of these characters. Yeah, I don't think we should use his magic because his magic might be evil. So everything in this situation has flipped. The people that wanted him dead now love him and want him to help, and she loved him and wanted him to help and now thinks he's evil. Why? Well, one group just switched and she touched his arm for no reason. Maybe when he's doing magic, you should stay away from him like a normal person.
He's done so much for us. It's my rude of us to ask more of him.
I see. I'll ask him then.
Lenny Henry doesn't care in the slightest if it's rude. Art imitates life. But I don't think he even goes to ask him because he's already trying to do magic on the tree to heal it. So they just all end up gathering around him again. Because no one learned the lesson last time of when he's doing magic, everyone should stay away from him because magic is dangerous. No, we're just going to stand around and watch, mate. It'll be fine. The specific breed of hobbit which is designed to stay away from danger and hide from it. Yeah, we're going to stand right next to it when it's right there. Totally fits in with the character. It's fine. Turn your brain off. It's fine.
What's he muttering?
Little words, so the tree will understand.
You ever get that impression that he's only become the town leader because whenever anyone asks him a question, he just makes up the answer, whether he knows or not? I married the most evil person in the village. That probably helped. How many previous Harfoots just vanished in mysterious circumstances in order to get him to be the leader? That's probably a more interesting show than Rings of Power, to be honest.
Shh. Don't distract him.
Yeah, don't distract him or interfere with him. So probably don't approach him because it's dangerous, you morons. But his magic starts increasing. The wind kicks off for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
It's working.
I mean, I don't know how he knows that. You ever seen any of this happen before? Well, it did attack a mage once, and then I ate his heart, so I think I might have picked up a bit of the knowledge. I smeared myself in the filth of Gandalf. I think I've picked up some of his skills. But the bark starts cracking, and he's screaming in the air. This is really dramatic. It isn't, but it's meant to be. And he's like screaming while looking at the hobbits and they're like, oh no, maybe he's evil after all. This entire thing with the Harfoots is, ooh, is the sorcerer evil? Is he not evil? It's not a mystery. We know he's not evil. Just like we know Galadriel is evil, but you're supposed to think that she's good for some reason. Can we hire writers that actually understand morality, please? Oh no, we're so scared. And yet we're still standing right next to you and watching it for some reason. Just when they think it's about to work.
He's fixing it.
That's it. The moron decides to step forwards. Have you considered taking the leaves out of your hair? Because for some reason they seem to be interfering with your brainwaves. Well, it's like, no, I'm going to walk towards the dangerous magic that everyone should be staying away from because somebody almost died earlier. I hate morons in TV shows. I hate them. If you don't even have the basic common sense of a human being that could survive to your age in life, then why do you exist in the show? This is the kind of kid where you'd be like, don't stick your hand in fire. It's hot. Oh, let me see if that's hot. Don't jump off a cliff. Hang on, let me test that theory. So he keeps walking forwards. The guy's literally screaming, the ground's shaking, the earth's going, and the entire tree is cracking, and the guy's like, oh, maybe I should go and touch it. Then as he screams, the branch breaks. She's like, oh no, the kid's gonna die, just like I was. So she grabs him, the branch falls, and rather than grabbing him and pulling him back to safety, she decides she's just going to jump on the floor underneath the branch. It's a bit like when one of those tall buildings fall over and everyone runs in the direction of the building rather than just taking 2 steps to the right. Yeah. So it falls on him, and 2 less half-wits in the world probably is a net positive for good. I'm sorry, Sauron, you lose this time. But they all panic and rush in to help. Oh, and the wizard's like, oh no, maybe I've injured someone else who was just too stupid to be able to actually give me the room to work. Honestly, not sure how any of this is meant to be his fault. But luckily, the branches just fell all around them and didn't injure them in any way, shape, or form. Just one of those coincidences of plot armor again. And they just look at him as if, how could you do that to him? It's like, he didn't do anything. None of this was his fault. Why do you keep blaming him for your own stupidity? Take some responsibility and accountability for your own actions, you morons. Why do all the writers in Hollywood always write as if it's everybody else's fault, except the characters making the decisions nowadays? And why does he look as if he's blaming himself? It's like, no, it's literally your fault. You came over here. He might be evil. Oh no, he might be evil. Is he evil? Am I evil? What a stupid scene. If you have a scene where the actions clearly show a certain thing happening, but all of the characters in that scene think that something else entirely opposite to reality happened, they all come across as morons. Welcome to Rings of Power. But Elrond is negotiating with the dwarves to try and get access to the Mithril.
We ask for something sacred from this mount, and so we offer something sacred in return.
Ooh, what's it gonna be? Powerful relics, ancient magic, lost secrets of the ancient elves that will lead the dwarves into a new era of prosperity.
Game, grain, and timber from the elder forests of Eriador.
I think we might have different definitions of sacred, rather than meat, grain, and wood.
For the next 5 centuries.
I don't care how long you're offering it to him, he's still not sacred. But he's got convincing to do. The dwarves don't believe that the elves are even going to keep their word.
Tell me, why should we trust any elf?
Personally, I wouldn't. The last action he's taken was to break the oath that he gave to a dwarf. I wouldn't trust any of them. If you met Galadriel, you certainly wouldn't trust any of them.
You should not.
Well, at least he's honest. I guess this is the end of negotiations.
But you can trust me.
That doesn't make any sense. Why should I ever trust an elf? You shouldn't. Except me. I'm an elf. Quality writing there, dude.
For I am no common elf.
No, but you are an elf.
But Elrond half-elven.
Just because you tell me your name doesn't mean I'm going to trust you.
And I see in elves that which they cannot see in themselves. That is why I stand before you now alone.
Still doesn't make sense. Why should I trust an elf? You shouldn't. But you can trust me. I think those elves are dirty liars as well. This is meant to be a guy who specializes in diplomacy. Don't know how you lived this long, to be honest. But he kneels before the dwarves.
Pleading for you to save my people. Please, noble king, help us.
The guy's just like, lol, nope, I want to talk to my son. And I just said lol, nope in summary, but given the writing of this show, hey, that might appear in episode 8. So Durin's curious. He obviously really wants him to go and dig out the Mithril. And rather than answering, this guy just goes off on a tangent. Why can't we just answer people when they ask questions? Why do you have to go and start telling stories for no reason whatsoever? The dwarves were crafted as stone and fire. The stone wants things to live forever, and the fire wants things to burn. Everything gets consumed eventually. In other words, it's their time. But I don't want the guilt on my shoulders, so I'm just going to say somebody else did it. That's the pattern for all the characters in this show. Oh, I want to do evil deeds, but I don't want to be held responsible for them, so I'm going to blame somebody else or some greater mystical force. And yes, I know about the Valar, but you shouldn't go around blaming them for your actions, your responsibilities, and the decisions that you choose. Held accountable for your actions, not the Valar's.
But the fire embraces the truth that all things must one day be consumed.
Look, you could have just said that you don't care about the elves or what happens to them, so you can't be bothered to dig out the rock. No, oh, it's because I've got fire and rock in me, and the oh, you've really nailed this cool little mix of pretentious and ignorant.
We do not dig in earth that cannot support it, delving into depths beyond the darkness, tempting shadow, rock, and mine.
That would have been a better answer. Rather than waffling about fire and stone, you could have just gone, it's too dangerous. No, we'll all die. You're bring down the entire mountain upon us because that rock cannot be mined. The risks and the dangers for us outweigh any possible benefit to anyone else is a good argument. It's a shame you didn't actually make it before you extended this scene 5 times longer than was necessary.
To bury us all beneath the mountain. I will not risk dwarven lives.
This is what should have been said first.
To help the elves cheat death.
Cheat death!
Yes, even under their own story in Rings of Power, they were given a finite amount of light from the Valar, and it's now running out, and they're trying to extend it, which would actually be against the will of the Valar, so I can kind of understand his point. And Durin's just like, I can't believe you want Elrond to go!
Many ages ago, by minds much wiser, much farther seeing than our own, defy their will, and this entire kingdom might fall, perhaps the entire Middle Earth.
And the king's just like, yeah, but the Valar decided it, so, you know, there's no blood on my hands. It's a very handy excuse for whenever you want to do any kind of immoral action, really, isn't it? But then we get angry Deezer, and don't worry, later on we get evil Deezer. This'll be good.
Uncaring old fool!
Yeah, there's a lot of that. The dwarves in this have a lot of anti-traditional, very pro-modern, oh, it's a good idea because it's new kind of, thought in this episode. And Deezer's just like, why don't we just take what the king says and yeet it out of the window and just do what we wanted to do anyway? I'm sure no problems can come from that. It'll be fine. You should always just go against the will of your king. That's why he's king. You remember when they said wives were meant to give good advice? This isn't it.
Prove to them there's a safe way to gather mithril. Perhaps it'd make him listen. Perhaps we could force your father's hand.
That's some of that quality diplomatic advice that we're all expecting from Deezer right there. Maybe we should just force him to do what we want. You know, the king. Ooh, the political intrigue is killing me.
He's more than just my father, Disa. He's our king.
I love how he says that as if she's forgot. Oh, I didn't realise. Sorry. No, you said he's the king. I'm actually not going to suggest that we just overthrow the entire royal family. I know I was suggesting treason before, but now I'm not going to do it. Now I've realised the error of my ways because you reminded me that he was king. I'd forgotten, sorry. But Elrond arrives. We need to just stare at each other across a crowded room until somebody actually realises the problem, rather than saying no. Your wife is in the room, and that means we can't do what we normally would. How unfortunate. But Elrond's just like, right, I've got to go tell Gil-galad, and, yep, that entire town's going to be destroyed, so thanks, dwarves, it's all your fault. Again, he's a diplomatic genius.
And soon he will no longer be a king, for there will no longer be a Lindon.
Oh well, I'm sure we'll survive.
So this is goodbye then.
We do not say goodbye. We say no more.
Namarie.
It means more than simply farewell. It means go towards goodness.
That means goodbye then. Goodbye! I don't say goodbye. What do you say? Basically, goodbye. How do you spend so much time saying so little? This entire scene is just them saying goodbye, and I don't care about any of them. You haven't made me care about any of these characters at all. This show never answers why. Why should I care? What is the problem? What is going to be caused by this? What are the stakes? Where is the threat? Where is the danger? What is the problem that them leaving will cause? Why should I get emotionally invested in any of these people? What is it about them that draws me in? What is the consequence? You can't just expect me to care because it's Lord of the Rings. An IP does not make entertainment. It's gone, why you should care? Why? Because it's Elrond. No. Elrond has done nothing this entire series to make me care about him at all. So I'm off now because I've got to go on holiday. But Elrond gives him the mithril back, and he eats the mithril over by one of the poisoned leaves of the elven tree, which then starts to get healed. And they're like, oh, it's fighting back the darkness. The mithril is doing the exact thing that we thought it would do, which is why we needed to mine it in the first place. Oh, I can't believe it's happening. It's happening. It's happening, even though this is the exact thing that we kept saying was happening. Oh, I can't believe what we said would happen is actually happening. It's fully healed. Why did nobody test this before? I just kind of assumed that everyone had already done this. Celebrimbor's crap, isn't he? He said he'd tested everything about this rock. He hasn't done that. You make every one of your characters seem pathetic and then expect me to care about them. Why does that even change your mind? He literally told you that was what was going to happen. But she's like, yes, you're committing treason. Empowerment. I'm so proud of you and your treasonous ways. Back in the volcanic fiery pit of death that doesn't injure people at all, we've got Galadriel and the kids hiding from orcs. Why did they leave the town when everyone was in trouble without helping them? Literally nobody knows. It's never explained. Apart from the fact that Galadriel is clearly evil. Just doesn't care about anyone but herself. But the kid's like, why have they done this? It's like, well, it's to make it their home, you know. I told you 2 weeks ago, but you've probably forgotten that. Because we know the writers have.
The Shadowland.
so we take it back and drive them off.
Firstly, you can't fight. Secondly, this is all your fault. Thirdly, how are you expecting to get rid of a volcano? Could we please stop making our characters thick? It's really annoying.
We have neither position nor reinforcement.
And there's a volcano that we don't know how to clean because it's a freaking volcano.
These lands are dead. We must rally to the living.
Or put steel down.
But don't worry about sanity. The kid tries to grab her knife so he can go and fight the orcs on his own, and she unfortunately stops him. She should just let him run off. I mean, it would have greatly improved the story. Another one bites the dust.
It is over.
Not for me. I won't allow
We
it.
must.
Yes, you must. You must let it be over, despite the fact that you said, I cannot stop. One of the things that Galadriel doesn't care about being is a hypocrite.
We must. We must.
Oh no. This is the character arc. By going off with a crying, spoilt brat, she's now going to use him as the mirror against her own soul and realize what she must do in order to achieve goodness from her evil ways. The plot of this show is like getting hit in the face with a sledgehammer repeatedly. People think they fall asleep in this show. No, you get knocked unconscious. There's a difference. Oh, I'm just going to stare at her because I realize this has been a really emotional realization for her, even though I don't know who she is.
What are you so bothered about?
Oh, that's very Tolkienian language, isn't it? What are you so bothered about? Hey up, bruv, why you bothered, innit? I think I'm losing my mind. Hey up, lad, them orcs been causing trouble uptown again. Wanna get some lads, go up, round them up? Don't worry, they probably got that line from the secret appendices that just haven't been released yet. But the Númenóreans had the sense to go around the town and collect all of the injured people and leave as a group. Unlike Galadriel, who didn't care about anyone but herself, except for the one person that stumbled up next to her as she was trying to escape on her own. Oh, look, they've even got sentries to guard people as they're going along. They could probably use your help, Galadriel, if you'd ever cared. You're Alandil here, looking for his son. He sees his son's horse. That'll be the one with the paper cut across its leg.
Isildur.
Well, I suppose they got similar hair. But no sooner has he got jump scared than they find out the Queen's coming. Oh, look, she's wandering along, holding onto somebody's shoulder and giving me this blank expression. That's perfectly normal. I'm not going to notice anything unusual about this scene. But he tells her to take his horse and she just kind of stares at him and he kind of looks at the other guys as if there's something weird here. For some reason, I can't put two and two together, though.
Captain, where is he? Where is my son?
That's just in case he didn't realize who he meant when he said, where is he? He probably meant Arendir or something. It's an easy mistake to make. Also completely forgets about the very weirdly behaving queen by his side. He's just like, no, where's my son? Doesn't bother going back for him, though. No, he just ditches him. You can't simultaneously convince me that you care and make him leave for absolutely no reason when he's not under any threat. That's not how that works. So this guy's talking to Galadriel just going, all my friends are dead, aren't they? And she's like, yes. I'm like, how do either of you know? I mean, they should be because they got hit by a volcano. But it's not as if either of you bothered to stay and look around town to see if there were anyone alive. You just left because the only two people you care about are yourselves.
They're dead, aren't they? But Undir, my friends, my mother.
They're used to having your voice cracking at the moment when you walk along. The only two people I see are Sauron and Morgoth crying about how all their orcs are dead. Oh no, I really miss my army. It doesn't come across as sincere, dude.
What cannot be known hollows the mind. Fill it not with guesswork.
It's not even good advice. Predictions based off the best evidence available are literally the only thing that you can do in life for many things. I'm not going to say anything until I know 100% certainty. And you're not going to go many things. Actually, that explains a lot about Galadriel. Also, not the same person as she was. Before, we had her running off all over the place, and now she's like, I won't go after anything if it's not a certain lead. These characters change from episode to episode, and none of them remember what they said previously in any episode at all. I'm not even sure the writers have watched their own show. But they're heading back to the Númenórean camp because she couldn't be bothered to wait for them in the town for them to collect all their people. So she's like, hey, maybe I can race them there. But don't worry, we don't just forget what happened in previous episodes. The writers also forget what happened in the last line.
And be wary. The orcs will move in daylight now.
Killed orcs before, you know.
When I was your age, there was no such thing as orcs.
Good for you. What does that actually have to do with what he said? Be careful, orcs are about to attack us. I've killed orcs before. That's not why I asked. I said be careful because they're about to attack us. Well, when I was your age, orcs didn't exist. Okay, what's that got to do with him saying he's killed orcs? Every line completely disconnected from the one that came previously. Don't worry, this is what we call talent. If I had $1 billion, I would have hired the best writers available to me. Not the only ones that still advertised in the yellow pages. But don't worry, because remember, Galadriel's evil.
How many have you killed?
Many.
Good.
I would not use such words.
Why not?
It darkens the heart to call dark deeds good.
So killing orcs is a dark deed now? You know, orcs. The kind of living embodiment of evil. Getting rid of them is bad now, is it? Because in the last episode, in fact, not even the last episode, at the end of the last episode, you were talking about how you were going to wipe them off the face of the earth. But now, apparently, no, don't talk about that. It'll make you evil, like I am.
He gives place for evil to thrive inside us.
That'll explain why you're so evil, then. But she says every soldier must fight from without and within, just like me and you. Galadriel, am I a soldier, then? And that's when she gives him the elven sword, you know, the one that you would expect the warrior to use, because she can clearly do a lot more damage with it than him. So by giving him the sword, she's now weakening them as a duo. Great battle strategy there. Well done, Galadriel. This is why you get paid the big bucks.
Perhaps we can make one of you yet.
And this is meant to be a big moment. The first time he's got his sword. Except because you have started all of these characters in such a dislikable position, I don't care. You can't make your audience despise the characters and then expect them to love them when things happen. Your good guys are meant to be good. They're meant to be likable. They're meant to be supportable. This guy isn't. He literally ended the entire region. He can't go through a redemption arc until he's actually received justice for the evil acts that he's done previously. But we've got Muriel riding a horse and it's literally being led through the forest. She says, how much further is it until we escape the fog? He ducks onto this twig, sees it almost poke her eye out, doesn't care. At this point, he's kind of realized that she can't see, doesn't try and help her in any way, shape or form.
How much further until we're clear of this smoke?
I mean, I understand that she can't see, but she should be able to smell it. Her breathing should have got easier because she's not breathing in the ash. But no, apparently she can't tell. That's why they stop as if, oh no, we've realized. Except the guy on her left already knows because he literally led her out with her on his arm. And he realizes.
How long have we been clear of it?
Nearly a mile.
I see.
So he realizes she can't see, and he looks at the other guy as if, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, yes. Why didn't he tell you? Why is it all a big secret? None of this makes any sense. Why does anybody care? It's not like you're in an evil empire where when the leader is weakened, people will take advantage of it. There's no reason for anyone to care if she's blind. She could still be queen. She's literally only got to make decisions off the information she's told. Oh, it'd be a really big hit to morale if we find out our queen is injured. Why?
Keep walking, both of you. Guide my horse. No one need notice.
But why do you care? The one key question of every single scene and action is, why? Why is any of this going on? Why should I care about it? That's the question your show has to answer.
Valendia, please, keep walking.
We're supposed to think it's a big thing, and she's like, please, keep walking, lead me. Let me lead. Oh, ridiculous. Ridiculous scene. Pointless scene. Meaningless scene. Back to the Harfoots and they're getting rid of the wizards. Why don't you go over there? That way you can find the big people's camp. The people over there can help you find the stars because as Harfoots, we actually haven't seen these stars for thousands of years and we don't know where we were at the time. That's right, Harfoots being as useful as ever. Yes, we think we know this 1,000 years ago, but we have no idea where we were at the time. We noted down the stars, not their locations for some reason.
Harfoot folk haven't seen them since over 1,000 years ago. And that's a long time to wander, even for a fella with big legs.
Are you under the impression that the size of your legs influences time? Hello down there, what time is it? Well, in this time code, it's actually 3 o'clock. Oh, because it's 1,000 years past up here. Harfoots are the only creatures in the world that believe in vertical time zones. We actually age at half the rate, because as you get closer to gravity, time slows down. It's like a weird Stargate black hole episode. We're closer to gravity, therefore, different time. But with that, off he goes, and everyone's like, yeah, we would help you, but we're not going to, because we think you might be evil, because whenever you do magic, we go over and interfere with it, and that's clearly your fault. And so he's off. And Lenny Henry's just like, I remember the 70s, the good old days, back when I was on TV. But, oh, as he leaves, what's that we see on the damaged tree? But a sprout growing. It seems like he saved them after all. Oh no, he wasn't evil. He was just trying to help. Which was obvious from the scene itself, but for some reason everybody in that scene had an entirely different impression than the thing they were actually showing happening. It's not smart. It makes your characters appear thick. And thick characters are annoying, especially when you show everyone crapping on him even though none of this is his fault. It makes them dislikable, and if they're dislikable, you can't actually recover them. So as he's leaving, he's like, oh yeah, those are my friends. And the friends are like, okay, we're just going to watch you leave now on your own because this guy was too stupid to stay away from you. He's turned everyone against you. Oh yeah, remember all that help you gave us? Well, I would come and help you, but actually, you know, I've got one apple here. This one apple should help you out for your journey across the world. And so, after everything he's done to help them and save them and protect them, they give him one apple. You're supposed to think this is a really emotional moment. She gave him one apple. I wish I could help more, but I just can't be bothered to move off my arse. And so off he goes on his own. Wonderful. We had the chance to leave the entire evil village of people that wanted to murder us behind and go with him. But no, I think we should probably stay there because we've got Stockholm Syndrome and for some reason think they're really nice to us. And then we get this attitude from Brandyfoot, and it's just entirely backwards because we can't remember our own characters, our own characterization, or their own stories, or anything they've said during the previous episodes.
Should have just stayed on trail.
Why?
I saw that star falling.
Why?
Should have just let it alone.
Why?
You tried to tell me, Mother, but now I understand. I'm just a Harfoot.
Why?
That's all I'll ever be.
Why? What is the motivation for this character? What caused her to believe this? What actions have happened which could make her change her mind from going from, I think we should explore everything, to this? The only thing that guy did is help them. She rescued him, and then he saved their lives by carrying them across the world so that they can be where they were. They never would have survived the journey because they would have got left behind by the evil Harfoots. But thanks to him, he lifted the caravan, protected them, guarded them all the way here, and now she's like, I shouldn't have done it. I should have let him die so that we could have died back there as well. None of this makes any sense. You're going directly against the own actions in your own TV show, and we're supposed to just swallow it and see as if, oh, her entire personality has changed, even though it goes against literally every single action and thing that has been said throughout your entire series. Has the writer of this episode even read the scripts of the previous episodes, or is he just writing new characters out of nowhere?
Off to bed, Nori.
You're supposed to make emotional scenes. You don't even know your own show. You've literally gone against her entire character for no reason whatsoever. Every single thing we know about her contradicts this scene. But no, just swallow it. Turn your brain off. It'll be fine. 10 out of 10. It's marvelous.
Have you ever lost someone close to them?
Oh, the show just keeps getting worse. I forgot this scene. I forget so many of these scenes. My brain has still deleted half the scenes from my memory until I see them again and get brought back to hell. It's like, have you lost anyone? Anyone close to you? Because we know you just don't care about anyone else because you just left a village for absolutely no reason already.
Have you ever lost someone close to them? Kin, I mean.
But she's like, yes, I lost my brother. It's where I got this dagger from. So, you know, he may be dead, but there's an upside. Every cloud.
And my husband.
Husband?
Yeah, I think that was the audience's reaction. Oh, so now you remember him, do you? Only took you 7 episodes to remember he actually physically existed.
Celeborn.
Oh, you even said his name. And the crowd goes wild along with half the comments on the trailers. Oh yeah, I mean, we know that he actually is still meant to exist and be with you right now. But we had to delete him from the show because we wanted girl boss Galadriel to go around and do everything on her own. Oh, and we needed Twitter to ship her and Halbrand. That's why we just took the story and decided to burn it in a fire. But, you know, back to the books, back to the books, back to the books. That was the showrunner's slogan, obviously. The one they really took to heart.
I was dancing and he saw me there.
You were dancing?
Oh, seems so very far away then.
And I'm going to pretend that I actually cared about him, even though I've been having it off with Halbrand. When he went to war, his armor didn't fit properly because he's an absolute moron, and as a soldier, he clearly wouldn't have known actually how to even fit his armor properly. But have you thought? I'm Galadriel. And so I knew more about armor than he did.
Called him a silver clam.
You know what couples are like and those romantic nicknames.
I never saw him again after that.
He considered, I don't know, looking for him. I went out and hunted orcs for centuries. My husband, nah, can't be bothered. But the kid's like, oh, you know what you said earlier? Yeah, none of this is your fault. It's mine because I gave power to the enemy. I'm like, yes, exactly. It is all of your fault. Congratulations, you're evil.
It's mine.
We did not intend for this to happen.
And she's like, no, you never intended for it to happen. It doesn't really matter because, firstly, he did. He knowingly made a decision to hand the enemy exactly what he wanted, which then destroyed the entire region. Yes, he intended it to happen. Yes, it's deliberately and intentionally all of his fault.
Or to the enemy, so that makes me responsible.
Yes, you are responsible for your own actions and the results of those actions. Congratulations.
Some say that is the way of things.
because those people are speaking towards reality, cause and effect.
But I believe the wise also look upon what is in our hearts.
In his heart, he also intended to give Adar the evil sword that would destroy the region. It wasn't an accident. It's not like he was fighting and lost it. He did it deliberately and knowingly, with no excuse.
And this was not in yours.
Yes, it was. Have you even watched your own show?
Do not take the burden of this day upon your shoulders, Theo.
Even though he is the one that caused all of it, and without his actions, this wouldn't have happened. What are you even talking about?
You may find it difficult to put it down again.
That's because it's true! Why are your scriptwriters lying to the audience as if no one's actually seen the show before? Do you think people are just going to tune in for this episode and forget what happened before because they weren't paying attention, which is the only reason anyone's still watching the show? Like, I tune out and I don't really pay attention, and so as long as you just tell me some course of events, I'll believe it, because I wasn't really watching the first time.
There are powers beyond darkness. Work in this world. Perhaps on days such as this, we have little choice but to trust in their designs and surrender our own.
And then once again, they start talking about the Valar, about how there's just powers beyond evil that we should probably just trust in their designs. None of this is your fault. Oh, you're not responsible for your own actions. No, it's all fate, the fate of the Valar. The Valar control everything. Iluvatar has just got a master plan for all of it, which means you're not responsible for your own actions and decisions. Do you understand how horrific that kind of worldview is? If you're not responsible for your actions, that means you can do anything and get away with it, because it's all part of what a higher power made you do. No, even if you believe in a higher power, you still have to be held accountable for your own actions. Otherwise, you are enabling the most evil people to do the most evil things. And they can just go, it's not my fault, bruv. All is upstairs. That's not how any of this works. And at this point, orcs arrive, and I'm praying that everyone gets discovered so we can all be put out of our misery. Unfortunately, they start looking around and can't see him. The kid, stupidly, pulls the sword really loud so they can hear him, and they almost get caught. This character is completely insufferable. You could slide it out a bit just to make sure that it's not going to stick in the scabbard. That would have made sense. But going, ugh, and really loud so that everyone can hear you. Can we please stop making our characters as stupid as the writers? Just please, once, for once. It makes them insufferable.
Is that it?
But no, despite the fact that the orcs have heard them, they just walk over, sniff, and then leave. That took me about 3 seconds to say. It's going to take them about 3 minutes to show. Eventually, they leave after an eternity.
We move at first light.
What light?
Hey, maybe they've been watching my reviews. It's an excellent point, and one she actually never responds to. You never get responses to the decent questions in this show. But cut back to the dwarves. We're mining for the mithril. Elrond decides that now is the perfect time to tell him, oh yeah, you know in that contest that I lost? I actually probably could have beat you. Why did he want to rub that in now? I don't know. Although I did say in the second episode that I thought he threw it so that he could actually get to talk to him later on. I guess it's nice to be proven right, but I thought it was obvious, so my real question is, how come Durin didn't notice?
You lost on purpose.
My aim was never to defeat you, but to gain your ear a while longer.
I'm also not sure if the show thinks this is a great, twist reveal. I thought it was obvious.
The mightiest thing a dwarf can do is to be worthy of the name of his father.
Oh, is it? Yeah, so that's why you're in this mine committing treason against your own father. Or is it just so you can have him talking about the traditional views of the dwarves? Or because later on you're just going to be incredibly anti-tradition? Hitting your audience in the face with that allegory again, are you? That's always use a sledgehammer. The audience loves it. So after waffling about nothing for far too long, we get back to the mining. The rock starts shaking. It's like the mountain is warning him, you do not want to do this, by the way. Of course, he doesn't listen and breaks through into the mithril. Turns out the mithril isn't ore in a mountain that you've got to dig out. No, apparently it's just all been opened for you and you can just chip away at the edge once you've discovered it. I also don't think this makes much sense when you're on about the Balrog, as if, oh, they delve too deeply and awaken the Balrog. And it's like, well, the crack leads all the way down to him. The Balrog could come up here if he could climb. It's not like you dig into his hideout, but they're like, oh, Durin. Oh no, the king's caught me.
King Durin, there is
Enough!
Thank you. They're committing treason. They were like, oh yeah, well you didn't want us to do it before, but now we've discovered the mithril, so you'll clearly be fine about it. No, he told you not to discover it, you morons. Maybe we can force his hand if we find it. No.
Seize the elf.
And then they throw the elf out the mountain. Honestly, I think he kind of got off quite lightly. You convince the king's son to commit treason, and the worst thing that happens to you is you get kicked out the front door. Wonderful. But don't worry, because they didn't search him, and he made sure to nick some of the mithril first. This is coming from the elf they can trust. Really living up to the name there, Elrond, aren't you? No lies to be found here.
When your mother bore you, something inside you was ill-formed. Your breathing was ragged and dry.
What we get next is a load of stories that contribute literally nothing about, oh, well, when you were a baby, you couldn't breathe, and then I realized you could breathe, and then your mother thought you were fine. I don't know why any of this is in, but it shouldn't be. We've had 7 hours of nothing happening, and you're spending your time telling me about what Jorin was like as a baby. And Jorin starts kicking off. How do you expect me to move mountains when you won't let me do anything? He's literally talking like a spoilt teenage brat. I want to do this and you won't let me. Yeah, well, maybe he knows better than you do. Maybe his age and experience means that he knows things that you don't, then he knows what you should and shouldn't be doing, and you're like, yeah, I want to do this. It's so annoying. Jorin is literally a crying, whiny little brat.
You complete this for me, but you suffocate in me any ambition.
Why won't you let me go outside to the club? I just want to go outside. Oh, this characterization is horrible. He's meant to be a grown adult and he's talking like a whiny little child.
Bear the most heavy of burdens, must also most rigorous temperance.
Can we stop with the fake pseudo-intellectual lines, please? Your bumper sticker statement doesn't mean anything. You can literally just go, I'm doing what's best for you because I know what's best for you. Now shut up, you whiny little child. Act like a child, will treat you like a child. Jorin.
Elrond is as much a brother to me. I've been fired in my own mother's womb.
How dare you?
That would have made a far better argument if you're like, well, without this, the elves have to go back home, and then all of the land will fall to evil. That would have been stakes. That would have been evil winning. That would have mean that we could go and support Jorin, because even though he's going against someone's will, he had to, because otherwise the entire continent was going to get wiped off the face of the earth by orcs. There would have been stakes involved in this. Instead, we get this.
It's you that's betrayed our kind, squandering our future so you can cling to the past. You profane the crown you wear.
That's not a good argument. Squandering the future because you cling to the past. You and your traditions and wisdom and knowledge that has been built up over thousands of years. Yeah, we need to forget all that because some 20-year-olds just come up with a new idea. Their idea is way better than the combined intellect of everyone that's ever lived throughout all of history, which has contributed to these traditions. We should just get rid of that because new things better. That's how we end up back at the whiny little child Jorin. And I liked him up until this point, but this episode ruins his character for me and Deezer's, because from this point it's all the way downhill at speed, because Jorin is the one that's been committing treason at this point, but for some reason we're supposed to be on his side with that argument, an argument that would only appeal to a teenager with no life experience. Which is why when his father punishes him, you're like, yeah, good. And Jorin walks over to pick it up.
Leave it. It's not yours anymore.
You get what you deserve. I think we're supposed to think that this guy's in the wrong, but Jorin's acting like an absolute lunatic. But don't worry though, if you thought you were in hell already, welcome. Stay a while and listen.
His baby left a wailing, the stream took her away.
Yeah, we're back with the Harfoots again. He's like, Poppy, what are you doing? Look, I know you're a bit big-boned and the camera puts on 10 pounds. Are you going to stop eating cameras then or what? But we actually need to save that fruit. There's not much left. And she's like, no, don't worry about the fruit. There's loads. Oh yeah, the wizard saved everything. You know, that wizard that we thought was evil, so we sent him away and didn't follow him and didn't help him in any way. Yeah, actually turns out he had saved all of us. But because we're Harfoots and evil, we just didn't care. Strangely though, they are just stripping the entire area. Not gonna leave any on the trees so it'll last a bit longer, you know? You're gonna eat it all before it goes off? You're just really efficient at preserving all of it, are you? What's your plan here?
I don't understand. How?
I'm not being funny, but can we stop making our characters stupid? Can she not put 2 and 2 together in her own head? Or do you feel like the character has to tell the other character because you think the audience can't put 2 and 2 together in their own head? Despite the fact that you've shown us multiple times throughout the entire episode of it happening and who did it.
How do you think he fixed it?
Thanks, dear. I never would have worked that out on my own. But with that, they strip mine all of the apples all in one go, in one day. I don't know why. And they start storing them in all their vehicles. Is their plan to just stop here for a day and then piss off somewhere else? I thought they camped here until they then moved on in a migratory pattern to somewhere else. I thought this was the end location until like next season. What are they doing? But she's off to gather water. Oh no, there's something after me. It's a massive footprint. And I thought the wolves had turned around, the giants were back. This literally fills the entire screen. They've made it look massive. So she runs away, for some reason leaving her bucket, because one of the keys to hiding very well is just to leave traces of your presence all over the place, like buckets, and the bucket gets washed downstream, right into the people that presumably left the footprint in the first place. Like I say, if you want to hide, you should probably make sure you don't leave a presence for people to find. Why does the one on the right have bunny ears? We'll never know. Maybe the books that we're going back to was anime. Certainly wasn't Tolkien. So, ooh, the evil witches have come. And the Harfoots are watching them. Why are these two awake? What were they doing at the time? How did they hide before the actual wizards actually found them in the first place? We don't know. It wouldn't have been interesting to have found out anyway. So they go up to the tree and like, oh, this is a magic tree. Oh, I think that's a magic plant. He went that way. I can sense his magic. And if you have no idea why any of this scene's about to happen, welcome to my world, because I've watched it 3 times now and I still don't get it. Because Brandyfoot, the Harfoot who's meant to be hiding, decides that I'm not going to hide anymore. This is my character arc. Wait, you're going the wrong way. He went that way. Despite the fact that she's seen them point in the correct direction, so she knows that they know. Otherwise, she's just assuming that they picked a random direction in a 360-degree radius for absolutely no reason whatsoever and got the right one.
He went that way.
Yeah, he went in a completely different direction than you pointed, even though you pointing means that you know I'm lying. So she looks back and they vanish, but it turns out that they've simply teleported behind her. And I would say that this is some kind of magic skill on their part, some special ability they have, but everyone can teleport in this show, so I'm just going to assume it's the same as everyone else's ability, and it's standard across all of Rings of Power cast. But at that point, the father comes out with a torch. How did he know she was in trouble? What was he doing? How did he find her in the first place? Was he hiding all along and watching her? Don't worry, we'll never know. Just turn your brain off. It'll be fine. 10 out of 10, masterpiece. So the witches steal a leaf from her hair. I'm assuming this will be important later down the series. But remember, they stole a leaf from her hair, not her hair. So if they're doing, oh, well, we needed something from her hair to do some kind of tracking spell on her or something. No, a leaf isn't her. I can't believe I had to say that about a TV show. But he's trying to defend her with one of the worst threats I've ever heard.
You harm a hair in her foot and I'll brain the lot of you.
Is that meant to be scary? Far too many steps in that threat that I have to break down and think about to understand what you mean, that by the time I've worked it out, I'm not intimidated anymore. You could have literally gone, I've got a big fiery stick, love, this is going in your face. That'd be more threatening. But of course, she grabs the torch and just puts it out, because remember, evil is cold. I suppose it was like that volcano and that's how they all survived. Look, we're not going to explain it, we're just going to assume that you don't know what a volcano would do to a person if it hits them in the face. Takes the sparks and blows them, and burns all of their carriages, where all the food was stored, which they stripped mined from the entire area. If they'd taken any of my advice, or even thought logically for a second, none of this would have happened. But this is Rings of Power, things don't have to make sense, just turn your brain off, it'll be fine. Oh no, there's so much damage. Has a volcano gone off again? And 3, 2, 1, act. Hold me back, hold me back, hold me back. I'm trying to pretend like I want to move over there, even though I'm not actually struggling to move over there at all. Just hold me back. I can't move out of camera shot. I'm on my X. Acting. So they all decide to get on a hill and watch all of their food burn. Look, when you're this evil, everything burning in front of you is essentially a television. And are we supposed to feel sorry for these people? I mean, you have to remember, the Harfoots are incredibly evil. And they've done incredibly evil actions. Like, deliberately wanted to murder people because they turned up at a forest which didn't have as many mushrooms as last year. Why should I feel sorry for any of you? Especially you that were fully in on leaving them behind. If you want me to support your characters should be good. I should want them to succeed, not want them to have all of their food burned. But back at the Númenóreans, we've got Isildur's horse and like, look, you've got to go home. No, I'm not going to go home. I know he's alive because I've seen his plot armor. Oh, we're supposed to think that, oh, the horse is bonded to him. It can feel his thoughts, so he knows it's alive, and the horse is going to go off and save him from whatever fate he's suffered so far. That's why he's not listening to those pesky humans. For some reason, though, none of the Númenóreans seem to realize this fact, despite the fact that he was the guy that told Isildur that horses bonded to you in the first place. Maybe this horse actually can read his mind and knows he's still alive.
Please, he won't listen to you. He won't listen to any of us.
Maybe he's Galadriel reborn in another body, I don't know. But with that, it decides the horse must be free to rescue Isildur. I'm assuming he knows. Otherwise, this is just another very obvious thing that you've told the audience about, but the characters don't know, which makes them appear thick, which is bad writing. And the horse rides off to rescue Isildur, because that's what I needed. The one thing I'd not ticked off yet was, can a horse rescue a person? Yeah, this'll be good. It's so dramatic.
I should never have pulled the elf on board.
Just realizing that now, are you? Didn't get the hint when she tried to escape from custody, and you said, I will yell for the gods if you do anything horrible, and she went, well, I could just kill you before you do. That wasn't a sign that she was evil to you, no, not taking the hint there. His face when he realizes just how bad Rings of Power really is.
I should have left her in the sea where I found her.
The sea is always right!
Now, I thought the Númenóreans were coming over here to wage essentially a war against the orcs, which was going to be a long series of prolonged battles. No. They came all of this way to Middle-earth to fight one little tiny battle in one single town and then go back to Númenor. I'm not joking, that's the plot. But along come the two most evil people of the series, and rather than running them through, the Númenóreans just let them in. He goes into the hospital to look for his mom, finds the sort of 4 people that were injured by a volcano erupting and a massive fiery cloud sweeping over the entire army, and then finds his mom. Why should I care if the evil child has found his mom? He's evil, destroyed the entire region, and you've made him insufferable. What positive reason do I have for wanting him to get back to his family? It's like trying to make me care if Sauron goes back to his parents for Christmas. But of course we get Arondir back as well. You didn't see them much in this episode because they were filming the previous ones at the same time. We cut over to Muriel, who is desperate for all of her army not to realise that she couldn't see, which is why she's tied a blindfold over her eyes. I mean, it's an original plan that I don't think anyone's tried before, but maybe that's for a reason. Why does she care if her army realise that she can't see? I don't know, it's never been explained. There's not a single reason why anyone would bother. Maybe that's why we stopped pretending in the first place, I don't know. I don't even know what this episode is. Nothing's happened in it. But Alandir's like, preparations are complete. We can go back home. But just as he's about to leave, of course, the most evil elf in history turns up with a florist. Why is she here? Nobody knows. Why does anyone care? Nobody knows. Look, things just happen in this show now for no rhyme or reason. She's not even leader of the Southlands anymore. Halbrand took over that role. She's literally just a florist now, and yet is still involved in their high-level political meetings. But Elendil has finally realised what Galadriel is and isn't pleased she's here.
No one kneels in Númenor.
You're supposed to be blind, love, not stupid.
You are not in Númenor.
I'm so glad you told us because the audience wouldn't have remembered that otherwise. My biggest question is, why did Muriel not realise? Did the fire do more than just blind her? I don't know. Did it take out half her brain as well? Because if she's that mentally deficient, maybe you should tell the rest of the army because she certainly shouldn't be leading it. I don't know where I am.
Neither of you are.
She thought they were so thick she said it twice, and the scary thing is, she might be right.
A fault that is mine alone.
Our ships are waiting, my queen.
Yeah, just ignore her and leave. I'm liking this Elendil. Finally, he's actually realised the truth.
Let us put this land behind our sails.
Ooh, actually looking at Galadriel in the face. We should just let this person leave us, yes. The show is entirely backwards. I'm pretty sure I'm meant to not like him at this point, but he's the only one who's actually talking sense in the moment. All of the people that he tries to go, these are the bad guys, are the ones that make sense, and all of the supposed good guys are the most disgusting, repulsive, evil people in the show. Because they have absolutely no morals and they have no idea how morality even works. Everything is flipped upside down on its head. And she's like, oh, how dare you say that to my mighty Galadriel? Are we really doing that cliche? Let me feel your face so I can see it. Why is she in tears when she touched her chin? I just wanted to make sure your jaw was still the same one.
Do not spend your pity on me, elf.
That's lucky, because I was never going to do that in the first place. It's like you should save your pity for the enemies. They do not know the war they've started. I will go back to Númenor, but I will be back with my armies. And I'm thinking, hang on, so you do have armies? You do have boats? You do have more people that you could bring. Why didn't you bring them in the first place? You're the queen! If you're going to send the queen on what is essentially an invasion, a war, then you would send her with the army. Otherwise, if it was just an exploratory force, then you wouldn't have sent the queen with them. No, we were just waiting for that second season to kick in, so we had a far larger budget to actually generate more than 3 ships. You can't even keep your own internal logic consistent. This guy is freaking out. Oh no, I can't believe we've got to come back. You're going to destroy all of us. And I'm like, yes. Yes, she is. And she's doing it for Galadriel, one of the most evil people in all of existence on the face of the earth.
Then the elves will be ready.
What elves? So far, it's you and Arondir, and you didn't even bother to contact anybody else. You two just thought you could take on the entire place on your own. The king doesn't even agree with you. You don't have the authority to promise any of this. This isn't a politically impactful moment if you're just thinking that all of these people are stupid. Except this guy. This is the only sane guy who's like, there's 3 women behind me which are going to destroy the entire face of the planet. And I don't have the authority to actually stop any of them. But they can't stop declaring war on things for no reason, making every single wrong decision and getting all of my men killed. And the only person that Galadriel has actually made friends with is the one that handed over the sword to destroy it in the first place. So if you wanted to have all of your stories led by women, then congratulations, because you've made them all look horrible. I don't know if that was your intention, probably not. But we cut back to the Harfoots again, because, you know, we haven't done enough evil yet. And he was like, oi, you, stop sitting on your arse, you lazy little...
Don't let this
crisp into your spirit. It'll be all right.
Don't lie to her, Largo.
What horrible advice that he's just been given. Because he's like, yeah, suck it up, stand up, face the world with what you come on. And she's like, don't lie to her. As opposed to what? What did you want him to say? Oh yeah, you're right. You should just sit on that stone and wallow in a pit of your own despair until you die. And would the woman have walked past and gone, yeah, that's exactly what you should be telling her. Well done. You actually, that's the realist in you coming out. No, that would be horrible, disgusting advice and things that you shouldn't say to a child. But apparently you were supposed to think that she's in the right. Okay.
She's too old for that now.
Yeah, she's too old. You should just tell her that she should be miserable and sitting down on a rock, rather than pulling herself together and facing life on her feet. It's great advice.
It will be all right.
Give us a moment to weep.
Yeah, just let her wallow in a pit of her own despair. Who are these evil people? Why are you writing this?
Weeping? Is that all you think we have left in us?
No, that's like his standard advice. That's what all the Harfoots do. Let's just get everyone killed and then feel sorry about it later. That's literally this entire group.
We're Harfoots.
Yeah, that's the problem. And if you ever wanted to see a Harfoot inspirational speech, and I don't believe you did, well, you're about to get one.
Look, we don't slay dragons.
No, you don't do really much of anything.
Not much for digging jewels.
Because you're not dwarves.
But there's one thing we can do, I warrant, better than any creature in all Middle-earth.
This ought to be good. What's the Harfoot special skill? Apart from wiping out your own villagers, obviously.
We stay true to each other.
No, you don't. You literally get each other killed, deliberately.
No matter how the path winds.
It's not even about the path. It's about how many mushrooms they find.
How steep it gets. We face it with our hearts even bigger than our feet.
A line so good he had to break the fourth wall to say it. Why do you need such big hearts? Is it because the rest of the tribe will eat it after they burn your corpse? I mean, seriously, dude. You're living among horrible, disgusting, evil people, and for some reason you seem to have Stockholm Syndrome. They were going to get you killed. They wanted to get you killed, and then they were about to try and get you killed, and you're like, oh, but we all just love each other and stand next to each other all the time.
And we just keep walking.
Yeah, they will keep walking and leave you to die.
Nori, where are you going?
But with that, Nori decides, actually, you know my friend that I saved who's now off in trouble? I probably should have gone with him.
To help my friend.
And they're like, well, you can't go off on your own. I've just given a speech about how we all stick together. And her mate's like, I'll go with her. She's always getting me into trouble. That's my character. That's the only aspect of my character, so I have to go with her. Otherwise, I'm not even a real person. There's literally no other dimension to my character except to follow her around into trouble. That's why I exist. And then the parents are like, well, if you're going, then obviously we have to go. I've just given a speech about how we stick together. I mean, I was only lying, but I can't be a liar this quickly. People need to forget a bit first. I mean, no one will remember this episode next week. I could do it next week.
You girls aren't going anywhere. Not without me.
Oh, what a twist.
You sure about this, Goldie?
You go into those woods, you might never come out alive.
They might.
Oh, aren't you a barrel of laughs? Ever the optimist. You don't have to sound so hopeful about it. Oh, if you go into those woods, you might never come back alive. Ooh. Can you imagine the eyeball stew I'll be able to cook up? Oh, it'll be good.
If a trail finder were to go with them?
Yeah, that's right. That's the evil wife volunteering her husband to go off and die. You know, the one that wanted to go back and murder the people at the back because she couldn't find enough mushrooms. And now she's like, hey, husband, why don't you go off and die with them? Yeah, I heard they won't be coming back alive. You should definitely go with them, mate. These are horrible people.
What's the good of living, Sadok, if we aren't living good?
You know, Malva, just once would be grand if you weren't right all the time.
What do you mean she's right all the time? She wanted to murder an entire family because she couldn't find enough mushrooms. Why is that right? You people are disgusting. And I don't just mean because you don't wash. Morally disgusting, evil people. You're worse than orcs. You are worse than the orcs. And the fact that the show can't see it and thinks that these are meant to be the good people blows my mind.
I'll fetch provisions and get me stick.
I need me stick. All the better to cave your head in when you sleep.
I'm coming with you.
I'd rather you didn't.
Doesn't matter anyway, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, because you're probably gonna kill half of them. But off we go, the Harfoots are off, and this is the scene we saw from the trailers, you know. The ones where they're in their prosthetic feet and can't actually walk in them. Our feet are so big, we just waddle along. Oh, we're just waddling along. Look at the one on the right, look. I definitely can't walk down LLDs. I don't know why we even kept this in the scene. Will this show never end? The Numenorians are leaving. She's at the front of the ship, blindfolded. I don't know what she thinks she's looking at. Remember when they said these ships were meant to fit 100 people and 100 horses and all of their gear? Yeah, they're massive, aren't they, these ships? Absolutely massive. Do you want to know how many rowboats you can fit on a ship that's designed for 100 people with 100 cavalry? One. Yeah, you just have one rowboat in the middle for 100 people and 100 cavalry. Don't think your logistics are up to scratch there. We have Galadriel and Arendelle. I don't know what they're waffling about. Do you think they'll return? Do you think she'll keep her promise? No, I'm certain of it. What a twist, Galadriel. The script writing of the century. The florist turns up because, of course, we needed her in the scene.
We can travel. Where will you go?
And does anyone care? The fate of the universe is in the balance. We definitely need to know where the florist is going. You literally made these characters up so that you can give them a romance that nobody cares about. And Galadriel's going back to Gil-galad to face whatever awaits her. Probably just a guy going, how did you even get back here? You did what? Jumped in the ocean because you thought you were going to swim back? Are you a lunatic? He's basically going to be the audience. And she's like, what of our king? Your king? Yes. Sauron. I mean, Halbrand. Oh no, he's been injured. Only elven medicine can save him. I better take him to the elves.
I thought you had died.
Better for me if I had done.
And the show at this point, I'm fed up with the fake romances. Oh, but why don't you care about their feelings? I don't know. Largely because the minimum I require for me to care about your feelings is that you actually exist. So bearing in mind that he's in bed, stabbed, and can barely move. He's so ill that she's like, no medicine can actually save him. He needs elvish medicine. She goes, can he ride? And the next scene, he's just up and about walking. It's like, oh yeah, not only can I ride, I can just walk under my own steam. I don't need my arm around your shoulder or anything. I don't need anyone to help me. I do know that I'm bleeding to death right now, but don't worry, I'll just get up and walk around. It'll be fine. Is it because she's so short that you knew it would look stupid if he was using her to walk? I have a feeling that chant won't age well. So she decides to give the person that caused all of this trouble her elven sword permanently. It's not as if she needs it. And he's like, this is how you use a sword. And then we get Jorin and Deezer being evil.
That's all my fault.
It is. You committed treason.
No.
Yes, it is. He committed treason.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. He committed treason.
It's your father's.
No, it isn't. He committed treason.
He's grown too old.
Oh yeah, he's old. I bet he values tradition as well.
Too suspicious.
I don't even know where that came from. What do you mean? Do you mean suspicious because he went and checked to see what his son was doing, mining, and he found out that actually he was committing treason? He had a right to be suspicious. Your son was committing treason.
His mind too feeble.
Where's that coming from?
His eyes too dim to see.
I mean, he saw your husband committing treason well enough.
One day this will be your kingdom.
She's just pure evil. And he's like, yeah, say it again, worm tongue, say it again.
Not some other dwarf lords. Yours and mine.
Well, this was a twist for her character, wasn't it? In all the previous episodes, she was just like, yeah, let's all stay and have lunch together. This'll be wonderful. And now she's like, I'm pure evil. Rah! Whoever wrote this, just never watched the previous episodes. This isn't even the same character. Unless that's deliberate and you're saying she's putting on a front for everyone else.
And together we will rule this mountain and all others before our time is done.
It's all about power. Rah!
That Mithril belongs to us.
I'm power hungry. Yeah, let everyone die as long as I can get more power. Rah! She's like a Harfoot. I don't know if this is meant to be inspirational, but it just comes across as like a speech from Sauron himself. One day I will rule this land and I will crush all of you because he does not appreciate my power. Durin, you underestimate the power of Mithril. And he's like, oh, I love you. I love that you're so evil. It's amazing. I always get randy after you've been evil. The writers have no morals. They have no morals at all. But then the king gets a leaf, lobs it down a hole, and as it sinks to the ground, oh, there's a Balrog at the bottom of the Mithril. You never saw that coming, even though we revealed it in a trailer before the show even launched. You never saw that coming. And they're like, Lord of the Southlands, you've dominated it all. No, it's not the Southlands anymore. Well, what is it then? It's Mordor. So now you've had an origin story for the mountain and the name. Apparently neither came from Sauron, so, you know, turns out he wasn't even a major player in his own story. Who knew? What happened in this episode? Not a lot. Did we get an explanation of how we even survived a pyroclastic cloud and a volcano? No. Just, it sets everything on fire except people, and so it's fine. There weren't even the obvious bad excuses that I was expecting, like, oh, well, it's cold. Oh, well, I dived behind a brick wall at the right time and that protected me. No, they didn't even bother. It's just, everyone survived, mate, innit? On top of that, everyone is evil. Everyone is spouting evil garbage, and people are changing characters because the scriptwriters don't seem to have remembered anything that's happened in the other 6 hours. Not that I can blame them, it's so boring I'd want to forget it as well. But it is your job to remember them. So writing characters different in this episode than they've been for the entire series, like, Deezer, or the Harfoots, or for some reason have just forgotten that they were going to murder their own people in previous episodes and now like, we always stand together with our massive hearts. Oh, I'm sure you're always right, especially when you told me to murder my own friends. Yes, you're always so correct. And these are the people that I'm meant to root for. These are the people I'm meant to support. Yes, I want you to come back and wipe out Mordor. Do I? Because your entire cast of supposedly good people are all evil and they keep getting worse. And now look at Deezer. Durin went out, committed treason, and now he's going to come back and do it again? And what's he doing it for? Well, he wants to rule and get all the Mithril and do it for greed and power and hunger. The kid that gave the sword away, so destroyed the Southlands, he's now apparently cleared of all guilt from it and thinks he should just, oh, well, you know, it's fine, whatever. And the other 3 women that led the area all got it destroyed, and yet we're supposed to think that they made good decisions. And now you've got Deezer, who also now seems to be leading Durin around by the nose, who's also going to be evil as well. I'm not sure this show is sending the message that you intend. What I do know is it's a horrible one. I do know it's badly scripted. I do know that it's all incredibly dull, because nothing ever happens in it. And then I do know that any budget you spent on this show is a complete waste, and you need to start spending it on people who are actually talented and get rid of all the people that aren't, because otherwise season 2 is going to be exactly the same. And considering the fact that you've already started filming it, I can only assume that you actually haven't done the staff changes that would be required to fix it, probably because you don't have the guts, or worse, because you think this is actually good. Well, those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.